The first wave of Hasbro's new G.I. Joe A Real American Hero toy line, released in 1982, was purpose-built for children to build their own small army, with an assortment of uniformed military characters with individual specialties. Yet when today's adult collectors use the term army building, they're actually referring to the practice of building large squads of the same figure. When I was a child, I always wanted to have massive armies of action figures, but like most parents in the 1980s, my folks were reluctant to buy me extras of figures that I already owned. This is a big reason why many of today's adult collectors love to army build. It's the opportunity to finally fulfill those almost lifelong childhood dreams of having legions of troops to command. And when it comes to G.I. Joe, these collectors want to recreate those large platoons that we saw in the comics and cartoons. You'd think with G.I. Joe being a military toy line there'd be multiple options for army building, but that's not quite the case. The vast majority of Joes are unique characters who do not fit the rank and file army builder mould, but there are numerous options for army building your Cobra ranks. And with this being such a popular facet of our collecting hobby, I thought it would be a good idea to make a video counting down the top 10 best G.I. Joe army builders. Stay tuned.
Come with me, toy fans.
Hey toy fans, my name is Tony and welcome back to the Analog Toys YouTube channel. And kicking us off in the number 10 slot is the Cobra Televiper. This character fulfills the role of a radio telecommunications operator for Cobra's ground forces, and he is equipped with a handheld scanning device that is connected to a comms backpack via a black hose. This character is also the perfect foil to Breaker or Dial Tone. First released in 1985, I was never a big fan of this figure in childhood, as I found his design to be kinda lame, and if you feel the same way you might be wondering why he made it onto this list, so allow me to explain my thought process. The classic look of the Cobra forces is recognisable by their signature navy blue uniforms, and when you add the Televiper to a squad of Cobra troops, he fills out the ranks quite nicely, and every infantry team needs a reliable radio man.
We got the equipment you wanted, Mr. Queeg.
Coming in at number 9, we have the Cobra Officer. These officers are the frontline fighters who lead Cobra attack units into battle. Armed with AK-47 rifles, the faceless Cobra officers make great cannon fodder for your Joes to combat, and they are identifiable by the rank insignia moulded into their helmets and by the silver logo printed on their chest. When I pulled this officer out of my display case to make this video, I realised that I really need to upgrade this figure since his logo is almost completely rubbed off. I've always enjoyed the design of the Cobra Officer, and this figure has also afforded us some of the best variants, including the grey, black and red coloured Cobra Stinger driver and the SAS Hunter figure from the Palitoy Action Force line.
Take Route F and intercept them at Junction 7!
Taking the number 8 slot on this list is a personal favourite, the Crimson Guard. The Crimson Guards are the elite Special Forces troopers of the Cobra ranks, and they were the central characters in some really exciting comic storylines. As their name suggests, these troops wear crimson coloured uniforms that feature many silver embellishments, giving them a regal, parade-ready look. The Crimson Guards are armed with an assault rifle fitted with a bayonet, and they all carry this uniquely shaped backpack. Like so many other vintage G.I. Joe action figures, the Crimson Guards don't come with a pistol accessory. Instead, their sidearm is moulded into the side of their leg, and it looks like these characters carry a sawn-off shotgun, and that's a really badass choice. These figures also look fantastic working as Cobra Commander's bodyguards, making them a perfect entry for this list.
Impossible!
Number 7 on the list of the best G.I. Joe army builders is the Cobra Trooper. While many of us refer to this figure as the Cobra Trooper, Hasbro simply named it Cobra, with their code name being the Enemy, which is kinda weird. Looking very similar to the Cobra Officer, the troopers are distinguishable by the red colour of the Cobra emblem on their chests and by their weapon, which is a Dragunov sniper rifle. It's no accident that the Cobra Officer and Cobra Trooper both carry Soviet-made weapon systems, with this being a reflection of the Cold War influence that was at play when these characters were being created. These faceless goons are the disposable foot soldiers of Cobra Commander's army, and no list of G.I. Joe army builders would be complete without them.
Cobra soldiers, forward to victory!
After 4 Cobra figures in a row, we finally get around to a G.I. Joe, with the number 4 entry, Grunt. Technically, this figure is not an army builder by the nature of him actually being a specific character in the G.I. Joe story, with the real name of Robert W. Graves. Grunt is the basic rifleman of the original G.I. Joe team, and where an infantry squad can get away with having only one machine gunner, or one radio operator, or one bazooka guy, they can't really be considered a formidable fighting force without several infantry troopers. Couple this with the fact that Hasbro never offered a figure of the G.I. Joe green shirts that appeared in squads in the cartoon, and it's no wonder that collectors today use Grunt as a stand-in for these soldiers, and as such, they love to army build them. Wearing an olive drab uniform and armed with the iconic US Army issue M16 rifle, and equipped with a helmet and backpack, this figure is the definition of a rank and file army builder, whether he's a specific character or not.
Graves? RW? I know I ain't dead.
Taking the number 5 slot is the upgraded Cobra infantry trooper, the Viper. Released in 1986, the Vipers are the new and improved Cobra infantry that effectively replace the previously mentioned Cobra troopers, and these figures are very popular with collectors. Featuring a striking blue uniform with red and black accents, the Vipers are equipped with a helmet that includes a mirrored face shield, just like the first release Cobra Commander figure. The Vipers are also armed with a really cool looking assault rifle and grenade launcher combination, a weapon that Hasbro called the RDT-7. Despite the updated design, the Vipers remain quintessentially Cobra in their aesthetic, and they were one of the last truly great Cobra figures made by Hasbro, before the designs became really crazy.
Agile Tomahawk! Intercept any survivors!
Coming in at number 4 are the Cobra Frogmen, the Eels. When I made my top 10 Cobra action figures video a few years ago, the Eels were ranked at number 2, so you might be wondering why they've dropped down a few places on this list. Well, as much as I really enjoy the Cobra Eels, when it comes to Frogmen, you only really need a small squad, as opposed to a really large army. So while they're definitely worth army building, I might look at you sideways if you had more than 6 of them. Overall though, the Eel is a wonderfully designed figure with some excellent accessories, such as a pair of swim fins, a jet propulsion backpack, and a harpoon gun. And it's all topped off with that glorious silver Cobra logo printed on the chest panel.
What do we got here? It must be a worm from the germ.
As we get closer to the top slot, the number 3 entry is Cobra's Android Trooper, the Bats. This beautiful example of the Battle Android Trooper is the most recent addition to my G.I. Joe collection, and I'm absolutely in love with him. The Bats also had a really awesome introduction in the cartoon, where they got up en masse by Sergeant Slaughter. Compared to other Cobra troopers, these figures have a unique colour scheme, being dressed in black with yellow boots and belt gear, and metallic looking robotic parts. They also feature a dynamic holographic chest panel. The Bats come with a really fun play feature, where the right hand can be removed and swapped out for a variety of different weapons, such as a flamethrower, a laser, and my favourite, the gripping hand claw. All of these alternate hand attachments can also be carried in the Bat's unique backpack. As stated on the file card, the Cobra Bats are dangerous to everybody, and they're especially vicious on army builder wallets.
Are the bats ready, Scrap Iron?
Yes, Destro! This is the last Battle Android Trooper!
Taking the number 2 slot on this list, we have the Cobra Polar Assault Trooper, the Snow Serpent. Incredibly, this action figure only received an honourable mention in my top 10 Cobra action figures video. Yet he ranks so highly on this list because when it comes to army builders, there's nothing better than a trooper that comes with a massive amount of weapons and gear. The Snow Serpents are correctly dressed for cold weather warfare, with an insulated uniform that features a fur-lined collar and gauntlets. All of these troops are equipped with a pair of snowshoes, a blue parachute pack, and a large white rucksack. They are also some of the most heavily armed of all the Cobra forces, being issued with an AK-47, which is different to the one that comes with the Cobra Officer because it has a collapsible buttstock, and an anti-tank missile that is fitted with a removable stand. When the Snow Serpents are not getting ready to fire this missile, they can carry them into battle by attaching them to the side of their backpack. With a deliberate Cold War era Soviet design that reminds me of the bad guys in Red Dawn, the Snow Serpents make for excellent army builders due to their extensive equipment loadout.
Hold them off while I get Ivan's DNA. Cobra!
Now before we reveal our top pick, here are a couple of honourable mentions. And first of all we have Shipwreck. Sure, he's a unique character, an annoying one at that, and technically not an army builder, but you're going to want multiples of this figure if you want your flag aircraft carrier to be manned by a crew of American sailors.
We gotta get out of here!
My other honourable mention goes to Big Ben, who again is not classed as an army builder by the way I defined the term at the start of this video. Yet Big Ben is my personal favourite G.I. Joe figure to collect because he's such a cool character. And he's a member of the British SAS, the best elite fighting force in the world.
Give me that. You know as well as I do that there's a lot of political pressure to cut military spending.
And so coming in at number 1, we have the absolute best G.I. Joe army builder, the Steel Brigade. This figure plays a unique role in the history of G.I. Joe, as the file card could be personalised, and children could use this character as their own avatar, affording them the opportunity to insert themselves into the world of G.I. Joe. Steel Brigade has a really cool design that was cobbled together from different parts of other previously released action figures. The character wears a fully enclosed helmet with a black visor, so the face is never seen. This means that anyone could be inside the helmet, and that's exactly the type of design element you need on a good army builder figure. The Steel Brigade was the exciting new G.I. Joe mail-away offering for 1987, and children could acquire the figure by sending a cheque for $7.50 to Hasbro, along with 2 flag points. Because this character was never made available at retail, he was quite difficult to army build back in the 80s, and today it's an even more challenging exercise, since Bobby Valor, the president of toy company Valorverse, has spent years amassing the world's largest Steel Brigade collection.
I've been told it's the world's largest Steel Brigade collection, which is pretty crazy.
A few years ago, Bobby also acquired the Steel Brigade trademark, and introduced the character to his hugely popular Action Force toy line. So if the 6-inch scale is your jam, you'll find modern, premium quality, highly articulated Steel Brigade action figures at Valorverse.com. Otherwise, you'll have to settle for these guys. As this list has proven, Steel Brigade was the only true army builder for the Joes, with all the others being members of Cobra. And since a real American hero would never let the Snakes win, the Steel Brigade has rightfully earned his place as the number 1 best G.I. Joe army builder of all time. So thank you all for watching, and I'm wondering if you agreed with our list. If you did, or if you didn't, let me know in the comments below. Let me know what your top 10 G.I. Joe army builders would be. Or you can click the links up here to check out some of our other G.I. Joe content. I'm Tony from Analog Toys, and I'll see you in the next video.